Good morning, everybody. Can you guys hear and see me? Okay, if I'm moving a little slower today, I do apologize. I'm still trying to get over this concussion, but I guess we'll get started. Same rules apply, guys. Please wait until I am done with my presentation, until you ask a question. And if you're going to ask a question, please do so in a full English sentence so I can understand it and reference the specific chart and time frame which you're questioning. Also, if you're going to ask me if something is possible, please do not bother. Um, uh, there's an infinite number of possibilities. We're trying to figure out what is most probable. So I'm going to put away the questions now, and I'm just going to start my review. So let's get going. What is of note right now is the MACD on the daily chart has not only diverged at the prior high, but it has now started back down again. Are we finally turning over and ready to begin the decline that we all know we want to see? Um, Going to have to still break at least an initial level of support to confirm that, or at least to begin to confirm that. And what is that going to be? Well, as we know, that's first going to be 59.20. And then once we break down below 57.67, that tells us quite confidently we are in either the B wave down or the wave one down. I'm going to, for now, I'm going to take off the yellow count. For now, this yellow count here. And I'll show you, we're just gonna, for now, we're gonna take it off. We've come up so high. I'm taking that off for now because I think it is probably lesser likely. I mean, really lesser likely. It's either going to probably be a much deeper drop or potentially a deeper drop for wave one. So I'd be focusing on the 618 retracement level in the coming weeks. And that is the just north of 5,200. You know, if we're going to take that out, then, and I'm assuming we would take it out with a fifth wave down for wave one of the C wave. So we're going to be focusing on this level of support and seeing how we get down into that level of support. If we get into this level of support and it is clearly corrective, ladies and gentlemen, you know, I personally am going to be putting my money back in the market. If we break this level of support, especially with an impulsive structure, I will be shorting the market on this wave two bounce. It really comes down to it that simply. Okay, there really is not much more that I can say on this. I added the IWM chart the other day. And the IWM chart, pretty much same thing. The only difference between the IWM chart and, excuse me, you know what? I really should put this in red, not yellow. Bear with me one moment. This really should be red and not yellow. So to match the red count that I have on there. Bear with me a moment. To match the red count that I have on the SPX. Okay, that's really going to be the difference here. We're going to want to see how this provides us with that pullback, and then we will go from there. Bear with me one moment. Okay, you guys can still hear and see me, right? Am I coming out clear? Okay, great. Okay, so really is the same thing. The only difference that I have between the IWM and the SPX is that I don't believe the IWM will get a higher high if the next pullback is going to be corrective in nature and we get another rally. I think it'll just be a much bigger B wave in the IWM, and I don't think we'll get a higher high. We may approach the highs again, but I don't think we'll get a higher high. Could be an expanded B wave, possibly, but I'm just not expecting a higher high at this moment. Okay. And that's really, they're both relatively aligned right now. I'd like to see a 5-wave decline begin, and we'll see how it develops in the coming weeks. Let's take a look at metals. I'm going to start with the GLD daily chart, as I always do. My preference still remains that this is a B wave rally and that we still see a C wave decline. How deep that's going to go, this still is my ideal target. So we're going to have to see how the 1-2 to the downside takes shape and where it begins to project towards. To that end, here's our GC chart. GC has a reasonable 1-2 that has developed to the downside. And that would be likely for just your wave 1, but it does look like it needs a little bit more of a bounce, to be honest with you. Oops, sorry, wrong one. I'm a little slower today. Extension. We can get more of a bounce. Yeah, that would take us back down towards prior lows for that X wave. That would be a nice place for a 1-2 setup, but it would need more of a bounce. Now, of course, there is potential that because of all this overlap, this could still be a 4th wave pullback in an ending diagonal for the C wave. So I'm leaving the door open that we could still see one more push into this target box. But if we get more of a bounce and then we take out this low, I think we're likely in wave 1. But again, I can't get terribly bearish until we get the 1-2 actual setup to the downside. As I said, there is nothing to do, at least I'm not doing anything in my positions until I actually get that 1-2 setup. Because especially with silver, and we'll look at that in a minute, silver is set up to really rock. Has it started? I just don't think so yet, but we'll get to it in a minute. But considering that there's still likely more room to go for this market to go higher, and even though I do expect more of a pullback, I can't really protect myself from that pullback until the pullback is making itself clearly known to me, and that is going to be the 1-2 structure in the GLD or GC. I would also like to see it in GDX. And yes, I can view this as wave 1 down of a bigger wave 1 down in GDX as well. But same issue I have with GDX that I do with GLD. We may be able to get one more push higher before we see any decline set up. So again, be a little bit more patient. It's not always easy to be patient, but those of you that have been holding your main positions while we've been going through this major bull market, I think you've seen yourself doing quite well over the last number of years, even though we've had some crazy consolidation periods. Let's take a look at silver. And as you can see, yes, we have, my ideal target was this region here for this to top. Silver, to see a 1.0 extension for a 5th wave in silver, is it unusual? It's not highly likely, but I can't say it's so unusual. So I'm still giving this some room to top out below 38. This still, to me, represents the most ideal path going forward. It still does. So I'm going to give it a little bit more room, not much, but I'm not doing anything on silver. The only thing I would do on silver is I would be adding to my aggressive long positions. I'd be adding aggressive long positions if we get an appropriate wave 2 pullback. And I would do the same thing on gold and GDX aggressively if we can get a C wave down to complete the bigger 4. Just to show you the GDX daily chart, pretty much same thing. If we can get this, I would probably trade this aggressively. And I would not hold for the last minute. Definitely not. Not when I'm coming to the end of a very long-term bull market. Okay, let's take a look at USO. And man, this has come back with a vengeance. In here, I was really questioning whether or not we're going to get this follow through. And last week, when we moved through that minor resistance level, that just opened that door wide to take us all the way up to the target we have, and we're just about there. So let's look at, by the way, do take a look. We are hitting resistance on the MACD on the daily as well. On the smaller degree, is the market still trying to stretch higher for this fifth wave? It's looking like it. It's certainly looking like it. Once we take out this support here, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be our signal that we have likely topped. If we push higher and then we get down to even the support in a 5-wave structure, followed by a corrective bounce, I would be looking to short that as well. Remember, the target right now is going to be below 60. The target will likely be below 60. It would be 60 or a little lower. That probably is where I would be looking. I would be looking at prior lows and lower, because if the A wave took you to here and you had a B wave there, I would be looking a little lower. Give me 1 second. Okay. So I would be, your A equals C, depending on where this tops, should be at least a little lower than this A wave. So I'm looking below 60. We potentially should get into the 50s on USO on a C wave decline. So if you're going to allow the setup to occur over 75, there is still plenty of meat to that trade to the downside. Plenty. Okay. Let's look at, I'll take a look at TLT. Is that a good 5-wave structure? I'm not crazy about it. Let's say that. But as long as we hold this support, ladies and gentlemen, I'm still going to look up. Okay? As long as we hold this support, I'm still going to look up. Bigger picture for this would probably be pointing us to at least the 93 region. Could be higher depending on extensions. I would probably assume, I'm going to put it in here. Let's get a horizontal line right there for that high. I would like to see us get into that region for wave 1. That would be an ideal region for wave 1. It's where we've been looking many times before. That's what I'm looking for. And I'd like to see 5 waves into that wave 1, a corrective pullback, and then I'm assuming we'll have that big breakout. Okay. EM, well, to me, this is looking like we're getting some nice divergence here. I'm looking like this is probably completing the A wave. I'm going to be looking for a B wave bounce, followed by a C wave down, which will likely complete the A wave of wave 2, followed by another B wave, and then you'll decline for a C wave 2. Timing on this is not representative. This is just general path. If this plays out in this general manner, then I'm looking to buy back here. Dollar. If we get a higher high here, then I may be able to consider we had an initial 5 up off the low. If we get a higher high. But again, my preference has been and still remains, I'd like to see us hit that 95, 96 region, which is a little bit lower. So we're getting close. In my opinion, we're finally getting very close to the end of this very long consolidation. So just keep that in mind. And I think that is everything. So let me see if there are any questions. Is that 15 on your IWM chart? I'm not sure. It probably is. I think they're Bollinger Bands. I'm not sure. Assuming yes on nano level. Nano level, there really is nothing to point to, guys. Yes, is it possible we can get a higher high here? Sure. I'm not, there's nothing on the nano level that I'm really confident in on that. If silver crosses 38, are you going long or is it? I am not doing anything. The only time I am long. The only time I do anything aggressive is if I get the setup I want. I don't have the setup I want yet. What is the target for EM for two? It's on the chart. I sent it out, guys. Just take a look at the chart, please. Would you see an opportunity for a short on a V wave top? I would much rather wait for the long to see if that gets set up. We'll see. We'll see if you have a good 1-2 setup down for a C wave, maybe there's an opportunity for a trade if it sets up. I'm more stalking the long trade. Any other questions, ladies and gentlemen? If I have a bearish bias and I have a chart that's going to show me a good long trade, I'm going to take that long trade, especially if I'm going to be setting up for short trades as well as a nice balance out. So I'm really stalking the long trade on EM, whereas on IWM and SPX, I'm stalking a short trade. But if everything gives me a long trade, I'm going to go long everything. But I'd like to have some amount of balance, and EM gives me the best opportunity for a long trade right now that I can see. Any other questions, ladies and gentlemen? Okay, if there are no further questions, I will see everybody in the room today. Have a great day.